Hey everybody, Jake here and welcome to Steelbook Obsessed, and you are now watching Movie Log 2, where I go over some of my most recently watched movies and talk about them for a few minutes. I watch at least a movie a day. I log it over on Letterboxd. The year's almost over, so this experiment is almost over, which is great because watching or logging a movie a day is kind of intense, crazy. You have to put a lot of time into it, and I 1,000% respect the reviewers that watch way more movies than I even do, because I've had to sneak in some shorts that I'll talk about today. I've had to sneak in some like Looney Tunes cartoons that was earlier in the year, but I love that stuff, and I want to make sure that the representation of anything that I watch that's loggable on Letterboxd will be brought out to you, the public. And for this installment, I have newer movies, but I also have a stack of physical media goodies that I will talk about. And the first movie that I want to talk about today is one that I have not watched in like 20 years. And that's American Pie. This big, beefy set from 88 Films. Dear Lord, this thing is great. I got this for a great price. If you're not following me on Instagram, you absolutely need to. They had a Black Friday deal on this sucker for $18.50. When I posted it, I had a lot of people saying, that's not from the official 88 Film site, so that's not gonna be technically a release that's gonna be official. It is. This thing is amazing, man. This box set is crazy, and to get the 4K edition of American Pie for under $20 in a set like this is criminal. And I am so happy to add this sucker to my collection. So when I got this, I popped it in that same night because I've just been itching to rewatch raunchy comedies that I grew up with that really aren't out there that much anymore. Sure, you have your random Hulu straight to streaming movie. More often than not, that stuff is just garbage, though. It's just forgettable, in one ear, out the other. I wanted to see if American Pie was like that as well, and I'm happy to report that I think American Pie holds up very, very well. And sure, there is a whole bunch of raunch in this teen coming-of-age comedy, but it's the relationship between the core four, between really the majority of the cast in here, that has heart at the center and makes you care about where they kind of go and where their lives kind of wind up, reaching that pivotal losing virginity point in any high schooler's life or college or however long it takes you to lose your virginity. It's always just like in the back of your head, and you gotta scratch that itch like, man, am I missing out on anything? If you haven't seen American Pie in a while, I feel like you are missing out on a very good time. I watched this and I had two thoughts in my mind. Number one, I need to rewatch this whole franchise again. I also have a Blu-ray of the 4-film collection that I will be watching. But B, with it being December while I'm filming this, I cannot help but think, why was there never an American holiday movie made where all of the guys come back, kind of like what they did for their reunion, except they have like a nice big Christmas party or something like that? I feel like this is just itching. This is itching to be revisited. The cast needs to come back together for some reason. The holidays, everybody coming back to their hometown. It just kind of makes sense. One thing that doesn't make sense, I'm glad they did this, but back here, there's artwork on the inside, but the case is black, so you can't really see it. Little bit of an odd choice, but review-wise for this movie, I'm giving it a 4 out of 5. Liked it so much. There are a bunch of art cards, or I guess there's, one art card? There's one art card, not a bunch, but the thickness was for this book, which I have not had the chance to read yet. Probably won't read it. I do not read any of the books. I read 1% of all of the books that I get in these sets. Maybe when I watch the whole franchise, I'll go back and read this book, but I probably won't. Just give me special features. And yeah, there's a bunch of new special features on this release. Only on the Blu-ray, though. The Blu-ray is region B, just so you know. The 4K is region 3. But there are a bunch of special features on this sucker here. Love it. Absolutely loved my time with it. From American Pie, let's go to the movie I just recently watched in theaters. I took my daughter, who is huge into musicals right now, to go and see Wicked. And it was long, but I feel like it didn't feel 2 hours, 45 minutes long, however long it actually was. I thought it went by pretty quickly. There are a couple scenes that I would take out or maybe played better on stage than they do in the film. Like, I don't think it's a dancing scene between the two main leads happened, and I thought it was cringe-inducing. I feel like this would never happen in real life, and this might work on stage a lot better than what it's working on screen. And there's a song that I would cut out as well, but that's getting a little bit into spoiler territory. Everything that I talk about here is not going to be spoiler specific, especially if it's brand new release. I also rated Wicked a 4 out of 5. For the most part, I had a blast with this movie. What I go to musicals for is to get the nice goosebumps on your skin whenever there's a great musical number. That has happened with me watching films for as long as I can remember. And in this movie, it happened multiple times. And it's rare when it happens. And when it does, it's like a drug. Just gets into your system. You just get all these shivers down your body, and I just sit back like this, like, yes, this feels amazing. And it just makes your enhancement of the movie that much better. And I loved that about Wicked. Like I said, I did see this with my oldest daughter who just turned 9. And I guess this is spoilers for people that don't know. It's a part 1. So it ends on a big, like, to be continued card. And my daughter's like, that's how it ends? That's the worst ending ever! Because I guess in theaters, this is the first time she's ever had to witness a to be continued, which I knew going in, she did not. At the very beginning, it says Wicked Part 1, so it does kind of tell you what you're in store for. You're not going to get a whole story here. But I think the break point at where they landed works more than it doesn't. It gets you more excited to go see Part 2 than it does annoyed that you have to go see Part 2. And I feel like with 2-part, 3-part movies, that's half the battle right there, is just sticking the landing. And my God, that end scene is so good. That last like 20-minute chunk is mwah. Good stuff. Leaves you on a high, which I absolutely like. I don't like getting high, but it's okay. It's okay. Since I'm talking about movies I saw in theaters, I should just get the other one out of the way as well. I'll try to front load the new releases very early on in the video because I don't have physical media to remind myself of what I actually watched. That other movie was Moana 2. I saw that on Thanksgiving. I hung out with the big part of my family the morning, the afternoon. And then at 5 o'clock, we went to the movie theaters. First time doing this, and I think this might be a tradition we continue on because, number one, it's nice to see family, but it's also nice to kind of just do your own thing with your core family on a day. That's, just you have nothing else to do besides hang out with family. So, yes, absolutely. I think the tradition is going to stay. Moana 2, if you did not know this, less than a year ago, this movie was planned to be a streaming series on Disney+. Then when Bob Iger took back over the reins of Disney, he kind of saw why are we doing this? It makes no sense not to release something like this in theaters. So with 10 months until, 10 months until it was supposed to be released on Disney Plus, he said, yeah, we're gonna steer this into theaters. And overall, I'm happy that he did. The first 2/3 of this movie, I would say, I didn't think did anything really special. I felt like the characters that they added in, very generic, stereotype people, I guess. Just, oh, you got your old man, and you have your tech whiz, and you have just the muscle. It doesn't, I don't know. It didn't do a lot new. What finally got me on board with this movie, I mean, it was fine. I wasn't hating it, but it was just like, whatever. It's a kid's movie. What brought me back on board was the third act that I thought was very strong. It did a couple things that I wasn't expecting, and brought the crew into realms that I liked, that I liked quite a bit. I ended up giving Moana 2 a 3.5 out of 5, and mainly just because of what happened in the third act. There is a little, I know this is a Disney IP, there's another callback to another Disney IP at a mid-credit scene that's like, did you steal this from the MCU, what you're doing here, Moana? Again, not going to spoil too much, but just I don't want to say anything more even. But overall, it was great. My kids absolutely loved it. Did not get any of the concession stand goodies, the merchandise, because they had a nacho holder that was in the shape of Moana's boat. And then they also had a big popcorn tin that did the same thing. Probably could have done something like that, but there is so much popcorn tin, just merchandise memorabilia for food. Concession memorabilia. I have a space for it already. It's all the way full. Something will have to definitely catch my eye in order for me to like take one thing out to add another thing in. Because I like collecting things, but I like to showcase my things as well. All of my racks behind me, they are single facing. The double facing thing, it drives me crazy. I want to see every single movie that I have and pull them out at ease. Just so I'm like, yeah, this is an option. Let's go watch this instead of like, let me move this stack back just to kind of see what's back here. Not my favorite thing. That goes for everything that I collect. If I have to hide it or tote it, why am I buying it? It doesn't make a lick of sense to me. But to each their own, that's just my personal taste. Next up, I'll quickly go over this movie. I made a review about it on the channel. It's Hush from Shout Studios Scream Factory. Never seen this movie before. I knew it was streaming on Netflix for the longest time. It's off there now. I want to say it's on Tubi now. So if you want to watch it there, you can have the original cut there. But the reason why you pick this Hush up is because of the shush cut. The black and white taking out the score cut of this movie is an experience I'm very happy that I have in my collection because it's wholly unique to this disc. In fact, the reversible artwork is black and white. The back is black and white. I said in my review, black and white seems like a gimmick. This is not. If you want more information on the specs and just drill down into this release, go watch my review. I did give it a 4 out of 5, I believe. Just very, very solid stuff here. Next up, let's go into a movie that came out this year that I had not seen up until now. In November is when I really cracked down into playing 2024 catch-up on movies that came out this year that just kind of slipped by me. One that I thought looked very entertaining, to say the least. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I'm a Guy Ritchie fan. Not a stan, just a fan. I think his last few outings have been very good. If you have not seen The Gentleman, highly recommend that movie. I feel like that movie slept on. Maybe with the new Netflix show, it's getting a little bit more eyeballs to it. I will showcase off the Steelbook on here because Lionsgate make amazing Steelbooks. This one's a little on the basic side, but they still go all out for it. On the inside, they have the cast, the ministry, if you will, running away from or just standing by an explosion. I love the disc artwork on here as well. This has nothing to do with the movie at all. I just find that very intriguing. And this movie is pretty entertaining to for the most part. For the most part, it's entertaining. Kind of a slow grind, very fun action set pieces to be had here. I loved Henry Cavill in this. I loved Alan Richardson in this movie so much. The main lead woman, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, that's terrible, but she's also super solid in this. There's a lot of solid performances in this movie that led me to a recommendation. It gets a little dry sometimes at points in like the middle stretch, but overall had a fun time with this movie as well. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 if I remember correctly. I will be popping up Letterboxd reviews the entire time this is going. And if you're a fan of action, I think in the review I called it Guy Ritchie's Inglourious Bastards. That probably would have sold a little bit more than The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. But that's more or less what this is. If you like Guy Ritchie's style and you want to see that style set in World War II fighting against some Nazis, look no further than that movie. Actually, I did say that I told you about every single movie I saw in theaters. I guess I lied, because this isn't a new release movie, but for my friend's 40th birthday party, he rented out an entire movie theater, and he showed off his favorite movie, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. I also appreciate and love and adore Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. My wife and I saw this movie opening weekend in theaters because I was such an Edgar Wright fan. I love the man. I don't love all of his movies now. I was not the biggest fan of Last Night in Soho, but really everything before that, I really enjoy. And maybe I just need to rewatch Last Night in Soho. I don't know. He's remaking The Running Man with Glenn Powell, I believe. That should be interesting to say the least. I haven't seen the original Running Man either. That's going to be in one of these movie logs one of these days. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, very happy to rewatch this because I haven't seen it in probably 4 or 5 years. I have been using Letterboxd ever since 2017, and I had a last ranked watch of Scott Pilgrim like 4 years prior. And my tastes have not changed at all. I still think this movie is perfection. This movie is so unique. There's still nothing else like it out there. And I don't know if there ever will be, because this movie did make no money at the box office, which is a damn shame. It's very crazy to go back now and watch the cast of this movie and how 75-80% of them actually exploded into mega stardom. It's absolutely nuts. I mean, Chris Evans was already famous, but Anna Kendrick was really not. Aubrey Plaza was really not. Mary Elizabeth Winstead really wasn't either. Michael Cera was probably the biggest name. And then you have Henry Cavill, who was Superman a couple years prior. Just the cast here. The Culkin. Rory Culkin? Kieran Culkin. Sorry, Kieran Culkin is in this, and he is at the height of his powers as we speak right now. It's just a very fun movie if you like video games, if you like unique films, if you like I don't know, I just have a lot of fun with it. I know some people hate Scott Pilgrim. I cannot get enough of this movie in my life. Let's go on to some holiday fare now, shall we? We just witnessed Thanksgiving. So, of course, the day before, I had to watch Thanksgiving on 4K. Sony was nice enough to send this steelbook my way. I had the Blu-ray already, but of course, if I get a 4K, I'm gonna watch it. And I enjoyed watching Thanksgiving more than I did when it originally came out. I think that this movie is playing in the sandbox of late 90s, early 2000s slashers, and it's doing it perfectly. Like the I Know What You Did Last Summer's, the screams of everything, just having a cast of characters get together. Some you like, some you hate, but you're still just on edge to see who's going to get killed and how are they going to get killed. John Carver is such a great idea for a slasher icon, I guess. I don't think he's at icon status now. But the way Borderlands performed, I think Eli Roth is going to be stuck in Thanksgiving sequel jail for a few years. And for me personally, I'm A-okay with that. This last rewatch, I actually upped my star rating. The first time when I saw it in theaters, it was at 3.5. Now I gave it a 4 out of 5. On Thanksgiving, it's been a tradition for years now that I rewatch the Thanksgiving trailer from the movie Grindhouse, because it just takes 4 minutes of your day on Thanksgiving, which is usually, it starts pretty low-key for me and then just goes into family craziness, which is fine and fun. But starting out my day with that Thanksgiving trailer, that's another thing I've rated 5 out of 5. I've given 5 out of 5s on this. It's hard for me to give anything a perfect score because there's so many variables that can go into me docking stars off. This trailer is perfect. I've loved this trailer ever since I saw Grindhouse in theaters. And I was hoping that they would someday make Thanksgiving into a film. And I'm very happy that this film exists. And I'm very happy to see where Eli Roth takes the franchise from here. Let's see here. We have 4 more physical media releases to talk about. 2 boutiques, 2 non-boutiques. So let's do boutique, non-boutique, non. The first boutique is a big, oh my God, big beefy box set that is sturdy as all get out. All the Haunts Be Ours, Volume 2. This sucker is absolutely loaded to the gills with amazing content, amazing films, amazing special features, amazing books of folk horror stories. This thing is a monster, and I've had the chance to watch 3 movies from this, 12 movie set? 24 movie set. Jesus, 13 discs, 24 international folk horror classics, 55 combined hours of special features. Dear God, this thing is a monster. I talked a little bit about my reviews over on my last new release roundup, and I will just touch on them again. We had a stop motion animated movie, Red String and Blood Tea, I want to say is what it's called. Not my cup of tea, personally. Very David Lynchian, and I'm not the biggest fan of him as a director. He's very avant-garde. He does weird stuff just to do weird stuff. And when I watch a film, I like to have a good story. And if you're just into showing me an art piece, I'm not into it. That's just not me, personally. That being said, I'm a fan of stop motion animation. And that's what this film is from. That's how it's shot. And there are some very haunting imagery in this movie that will stick with me for a while. It's been a couple weeks since I've actually seen it, and it's still stuck in my craw in the best way possible. I gave this a 3 just because of that. Like I said, like, here are these little skulls that are stuck in flowers. Just one of many memorable scenes from this movie. 3 out of 5. If you like David Lynchian stuff, go after it. This would be a perfect horror Easter watch, I think. I think it would match with that very, very well. The next movie I want to talk about is probably the one I enjoyed the most, and that would be Pyromania. When I read the description and it said this combined a zombie flick with a motorcycle gang biker movie, never really thought to put those two combinations together. But give me a PBJ with those any day, because I love this movie. Throw in some like 60s psychedelicness in there as well. Just the 60s vibe. Very like Easy Rider-esque. Just going straight to like the biker mentality. But movies were shot differently 50 years ago. 50 plus years ago. And yeah, this movie just feels very unique. Stonehenge plays a mythical element into this movie as well. It's just unique, and I enjoyed how fun it was. How sometimes I don't think it was meant to be fun, but I just enjoyed the ride that I was on. Gave it a 3.5 out of 5. The lead was very captivating. The biker crew itself, pretty generic, but still the things they were doing were fun and entertaining, so I enjoyed that as well. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5 there. And the last movie I watched was a documentary that's newest in this collection, and that is Susanna, the Queen of Black Magic. There's a Susanna movie in here as well, and I'm very happy it is, because after watching this documentary, I want to dig more into her filmography. I love watching documentaries that talk to me about things I had no idea existed, and by the end of the documentary, I become fans of the subject matter. And Susanna is definitely one of those things I'm happy I now know in my life. Because her first, like, 2/3 of this movie, 2/3 of her life, where she kind of comes through the struggles of her life to be a big, big movie star in her neck of the woods, was fun. It's always fun to see a success rise to any type of fame movie. And first 2/3 kind of goes through her filmography, what it's meant, how it changed from like doing these like teenage roles over to like the queen of horror over, God, wherever they filmed this, I'm sorry, Indonesia, I want to say is what it is. I could be very, very wrong there though. And if I'm wrong, I'll pop it in. But what really made me enjoy this documentary, it was very run-of-the-mill until the last few years of her life, where it goes into big, big TMZ soap opera territory. And that's where I was like, oh, okay. Tabloidiness in her life was not what I was expecting, especially at her latter age, in her last years of living. And that to me is worth the price of admission alone on the documentary. The documentary is also being sold separately from Severin, I think. I know it's streaming separately. I would recommend that be a watch if you're a fan, just like me, and a fan of horror and want to learn more about the medium and some other parts of the world that I really wasn't akin to. I gave that documentary a 3.5 out of 5 as well. I'm happy to report that this box set is beefy and it might be a little bit pricey, but at least everything that I've watched in here is unique and stands out. I can't say that about a lot of movies. There's another box set that is small but mighty that I will get to next. But first, let's talk about the sole holiday movie that I've watched so far. When I'm filming this, it's still the first week of December. I'm not sure when I'm going to post this movie yet, but I try to watch as many not holiday movies as I possibly can. Over in October, I tried to watch as many horror movie remakes as I possibly could. Mix the two together, you got Silent Night. The Venn diagram, if you will. This is right in the middle. I'm like, I have to watch this. I'm watching remakes. Another one that I'm gonna put in one of these movie logs is Black Christmas, the newest one, which I've heard nothing but terrible things about. Didn't hear anything about Silent Night. And if you don't know, this is the remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night, which I absolutely love. I want to say I gave that movie a 4 out of 5. Cannot wait to rewatch that sucker from Scream Factory when the 4K is out now, but it's not in my collection yet. One of these days I will grab that sucker. But I'm like, I love that movie. Let's see what can happen here. You give Santa Claus a flamethrower? I'm intrigued. And unfortunately, Santa Claus with a flamethrower is just cheap visual gags. It's in the movie, but it's stupid in the movie, just like everything is stupid in this movie. I'm not a fan of late 2000s, early 2010s horror. That's what I've been kind of going back. I watched the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake back in 2003. I watched the Prom Night remake. I watched See No Evil. Like, that version of horror, to me, has aged like spoiled milk, man. I don't enjoy it at all. This has that sepia tone all over it. Very cheaply made too, which is a strike against it. It has Malcolm McDowell. He is in this for a paycheck, and that is it. Love me some Donald Logue when I saw him in there. Got very excited. They don't do enough with Donald in this movie, I will say that. But when he does get his time to shine, he doesn't really stand up to the occasion either. I like him as a character actor, and here he didn't really do much when he should have. The rest of the cast is just not great. It's not great at all. And whenever you put boobs in a movie, and I get bored with boobs, that seems like impossible to me. I don't understand. It's only happened a handful of times. Kill Her Goats. Oh my God, never watch Kill Her Goats. Silent Night is better than Kill Her Goats, but still not great. I gave Silent Night a 1.5 out of 5. The only good things that I can really remember are some of the kills. There's one with a wood chipper. That's really the main one that is striking my memory banks as of right now. There's one kill that looks terrible with a girl falling out of a window. The green screen, horrendous. Never watch this. Let me tell you to not... Let me bite the bullet on Silent Night, okay? I am going to get rid of this movie very, very quickly. Not for me. But it is Anchor Bay. And it's nice to see that Anchor Bay is back and they aren't releasing absolute trash like Silent Night. The last boutique label release that I have to talk about is another Severin. This is small but mighty packaging and packs so much content that I absolutely love. This is Scala! Or the incredibly strange rise and fall of the world's wildest cinema and how it influenced a mixed up generation of weirdos and misfits. Again, talking about things that I have never heard of before and making me a fan of them. Scala, I love documentaries like that. And now I can say the same thing about this movie theater. It's over in London, and just seeing the rise and fall of this beautiful establishment made me very happy. Made me very happy so much. What also made me happy was once I watched the documentary and fell in love with the documentary. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5, I believe. 3.5, 4, somewhere around there. This Severin went above and beyond on this release, on something that, oh God, I can't show this. Something that they really shouldn't have done. They didn't need to do, I guess, but I'm happy that they did. They have 2 bonus discs that house some movies that actually played at the Scala, which is so cool. And I dug in to so many of those. I dug into, there's a documentary made in the 90s about Scala. There's a couple of those on here, like little mini 10 to 20 minute ones. There is a, God, I wish there was a list. Is there a list somewhere on here? Let me look at my Letterboxd. Just a second. That's a good way to fill the memory banks. There was a again, the front of this said a mix of weirdos and misfits and stuff. It told a lot of it showed a lot of content that is not really made for general audiences, I guess. One of which was a short called Boobs a Lot, which is just a song that I've never heard of before. But the short film, the music video, if you will, made me a fan. And it's crazy that that was loggable on Letterboxd. There's a couple more movies that I enjoyed that I'll pop up here and there. I know one was a vampire LGBTQ take in the late 80s that I thought was very fascinating. Just a lot of great additional content on here. And I only dug into disc 2. There's a third disc that I have not dug into that has some crazy special features on here. There's a Splatterfest Exhumed, 81 minutes long, The Art of the Calendar, which I want to watch because one thing, there was a segment in the documentary, and I'm very happy that once again, Severin was able to capture this. Is there anything that I need to cover? That front bit. I need to cover this front bit. Oh God. Okay, this front bit and this front bit. But they give you a calendar that shows what was playing at the Scala every day. And you kind of just make your own decisions on, okay, does this look good or not? And if there's a 48-minute documentary on like how those were made and what decisions were made on how to make the design look the way it did, I'm all in. I love that type of stuff. There's also a couple of short films from the Scala screened Short Films Fest. Maniac 2, Mr. Robbie, Horror Show, Cleveland Smith. And yeah, a whole bunch of goodies that are packed into this sucker. If you're a fan of documentaries, if you're a fan of the movie-going experience, especially theatrically, check this out. I'm telling you. Such a solid release, and I feel like absolutely nobody is talking about this. And the last movie that I have to talk about today, I've seen a few more that are on my Letterboxd. If you want to go over there, my handle is Steelbook. If you want to just kind of see some things that I didn't talk about, like a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving and Civil War, just to name a couple. But the last one that I'll talk about today is the 4K of Addams Family Values. I had not seen this movie in such a long time, but my oldest daughter watched Beetlejuice to get into the mood to see if she wanted to go see Beetlejuice in theaters. She did, and now we've been down the rabbit hole of the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. They're all like the same tone. I'm gonna show her Gremlins this month too. Very excited about that. We watched this around Thanksgiving because we kept on hearing, oh, this movie's such a Thanksgiving movie. It's not. There's a Thanksgiving scene at a summer camp that there's a 5-minute segment that is super Thanksgiving-y, and everything else is not in this movie at all. I wanted to like this movie a little bit more. I feel like my memory enjoyed this movie more than what I actually liked during this movie. It's solid, but I can say that about the original Addams Family too. I gave the original a 3. I gave Addams Family Values a 3. It's fine content. It does not set the world on fire for me. It's aged fine. There's just not a lot that I'm really dying to remember, dying to recommend about this movie at all. But I will say the Thanksgiving scene is very, very fun in here. Joan Cusack is swinging it out of the fence. She is going for home runs with her performance, and I thought more often than not she was absolutely solid. Even though I didn't like some of the storyline with her and Fester. Wasn't the biggest fan of that at all, and how dumb-witted Fester was in this. I don't know. But yeah, 3 out of 5 for the Addams Family movies. Even the animated new Addams Family movies, I'm still like 3 out of 5s on those. It's fine content for what it is. But I'm never going to hold it in high regard like some people do. But with that is everything for Movie Log 2. Hopefully you are liking these movie reviews, a lot of like fast pitched ones in one segment, because I could do movie reviews for each and every one of these videos. Or these physical media releases. I don't have a lot of time to do that personally. So if I find something that I absolutely have to talk about, I'll make a video. I'll lose some sleep. I will try to chunk that sucker out like I did for Hush. But more often than not, you will just get the big long form videos, the movie logs. I do movie logs on Letterboxd. I'll do movie logs over here on YouTube. If you've liked this, make sure you give the video a like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thanks for watching, and until next time. I'll see ya. God, Severin. They actually sent me 2 Severin stickers. Hello! If you made it this far, then congratulations, you found the after credits scene. Good for you. Good for you. Don't even really have a question off the top of my head. That's very, very sad. Let's see here. Actually, let's talk about this. The first movie I talked about today was American Frickin' Pie. My question for you is, what is your favorite raunchy comedy? American Pie is up there, and I didn't think I would rank it as high as I did, but it's really that core 4 emotional connection that you get with them that really makes this stand out and stand the test of time. That's crazy for me to say about American Pie, but I can honestly say that, which is very, very cool to say. Like American Pie, like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Those are the main 2 that are coming to my head. But I want someone to drill down and give me some real deep cuts that I probably watched in my high school days, but I cannot remember right now at all. And when I'm talking about like Hulu streaming movies like I did in the beginning, I'm talking about like The Package and Vacation, Friends Vacation with John Cena, whatever the crap that was called. Like stuff that is so forgettable that if I did not log it on Letterboxd, I would totally forget that I watched something like that. But let me know what you think about your favorite raunchy movie in the comments. And we're gonna end with eating some of that pie. Nom 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 nom.